I did tell people I was going to do a midweek live stream to make up for the catastrophic failure of the last one. Hopefully the internet won't cut out again today. Is anyone going to show up though? That's the question. You never know. So while I'm waiting for people to arrive, I thought I'd just do a little shout out to the Neverland, the Impossible Island. It's a pay what you want PDF on DriveThru RPG at the moment. It's written by Diana Gator, otherwise known as Super Dylan on Twitter, and she posts some really funny little skits on Twitter. And it's a really good PDF. It's basically Neverland, right? So 5th edition D&D version of Neverland, which is really good because it's like a Fae stopover point for children who are going on to their respective afterlife, which I think is a really interesting idea. So I've been reading that this morning. Hey, nobody special. Stanchskate, Moondog, Jabcap, Matthew Fritz, Bango Shanks, Daniel, Faith, Brandon, Harrison, Alexander, Comics Nut, Zachary, Billions and Billions, Bright Glory, Juju Bear, all the regulars, hello, or those who have just arrived. Are you all enjoying your bean tea? Bean tea is the way to go. So those of you who are, but are there Kenda? There's always Kenda somewhere. Those of you who haven't gone and checked out the flora of the north of Faerun, which is the latest sort of explores video that I put up, essentially what I'm talking about is all the exotic plants that are specific to the Forgotten Realms in the north. So the Icewind Dale, Ten Towns, Silvery Moon, the Silver Marches, Anrock Desert High Ice, the Great Glacier, the Reged Glacier, along the Sword Coast, and just in that general zone right up there. Bean tea, yeah, so a lot of people misread that as, because I said the flora of Faerun, and a lot of people read that as Florida of Faerun, which I thought was hilarious. It's like, where would you put Florida in Faerun? And two things sprang to mind. One is I don't know an awful lot about Tethir. Kalimshan is a massive city, so it's bound to have some sort of like little thing off to the side. There's a trade city there and stuff as well. So I thought Kalimshan would be a good choice for a place to put D&D Florida. But also Arm, which has got a sort of it's probably got like a Miami type feel to parts of the port towns along some bits there, because it gets quite warm in Arm. You know, but anywhere on the Lake of Steam, the Border Kingdoms, yeah, places like that, you could put a D&D Florida along there for sure. There's other places which we know very little about, you know, so yeah. Super inspirational video for upgrading a homebrew. Yeah, well, I hope it gets lots of attention. Essentially, what I'm looking for is it to get to like 8,000, 10,000 views or so, and that will encourage me to carry on doing videos like that. So those of you who like flora and fauna videos for lore, because that stuff is all sourced directly from loads of Dragon Magazine articles and Dungeon Magazine articles, novels, source books, and of course the campaign setting books. Where would D&D Texas be? The Shah. I would say the Shah for sure, because the Shah is this great big open grassland sort of thing, which has got yeah, that's where you find the elephant people and stuff like that. Florida's Chult. Yeah, nah, Florida's got like Chulta's got its own vibe to it. Yeah. Don't forget there's like Lantern and stuff as well. Like, you could make the whole peninsula that comes out from the Wheeldath Forest be your version of Florida, if you wanted to. Will a D&D have a Florida man? Maybe. Is New Zealand coffee or tea? It's both. So from our English ancestors, from the bulk of the colonists that came over from England, they were all tea drinkers. But most people in New Zealand drink coffee as well. I certainly drink. I've drank coffee since I was a child. Do I cite my sources in the description? I cite one particular source, which was because I like to promote people who are, doing the work and marketing their own stuff and sort of collating the things. There's a really good document that I found on the DMs Guild, which had a lot of the flora and fauna that I was looking for, but wasn't actually comprehensive enough, so it didn't have all of the stuff that was available. So when I went through all the stuff that was available in the north, there was a few from that document. And there was stuff that wasn't in that document as well. So I cite that source because I'm basically throwing the guy a promo because he's got a really good product out at the moment. But for the rest of it, there's a lot of sources. Really, you can just go to the Forgotten Realms wiki and you'll be able to find most of the sources there because that's where they cite all their stuff really well in there. Avast, Jam the Ooze. How be thee, sire? Hey, thanks billions and millions. Really like the flora video. On that topic, are there any examples of plants being products of magic or wizards' experiments, like certain magical beasts? Any good roleplay story hooks with plants? Yes, there are. There certainly are. One region which I did mention in the video called the Plains, the Battle of Bones area, which is just like if you're heading from the Sword Coast just before you hit the Anarok Desert. If you go through the natural pass between the mountains there's this place called the Battle of Bones, which has got some really weird exotic plants and stuff there. One which no longer exists. It only exists dried because it couldn't be kept in captivity as well. So there's these incredibly valuable dried flowers that you can get. So more often it's plants which are produced by gods rather than by magic, which are more interesting. Gods use plants growing in a certain area to show obvious signs of their favor or disfavor. Hey Morrigan, nice to see you. Yep, I do. I do weekend live streams typically. This is out of the ordinary, me doing a midweek stream because my last live stream on the weekend got cut off abruptly, and I said I will be back to do a midweek one. And also everybody's just sort of stuck inside at the moment. Wherever the meth on Toril is, that's where you'll find the Florida. Yeah, so drug use in the Forgotten Realms is particularly in Waterdeep and places like that. There's a few things which are illegal or frowned upon, but generally speaking, the authorities don't care whether you're taking drugs or not, or trafficking in them per se. They just don't like to get personally involved in that sort of thing. As long as you're not harming anybody else, I don't think anybody in the Forgotten Realms really cares. They're more worried about, slavery and tracking with undead and things like that. Like, people expect you to immediately report sightings of the undead. I'm making a sport based off the Blood of Heroes movie. Blood of Heroes. Was that the Salute to the Jugger movie? I think they call that somewhere else. The one with Rutger Hauer? Is that the one? My day thus far is pretty good. Yeah, the sun is shining outside, although it's probably going to rain later, it being autumn over here on the other side of the planet. Yes, I did, Kick-Ass Duke. Thank you very much. Yes, I did. And you had a message attached to it if you would remind me. Family's holding up very well in my little bubble here. You can picture a lich doing gardening to prevent flowers. Jugger, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yep. Fossil dragon. Ooh. Flora and fauna of the Feywild. Man, it would be different every 2 steps you take. That'd be crazy. You can spend the rest of your days. Yes, we have. We don't call them meth heads here in New Zealand. We don't call it meth. We call it P, which is a methamphetamine. So we have a pea epidemic in New Zealand just as well, just the same as anybody else really in the world. Yeah. One of the problems is there's just a wholesale import of the raw materials for that coming illegally over from China, and there's not really a hell of a lot we can do to stem the tide, unfortunately, short of going over to China and just destroying the factories ourselves. (102 Fahrenheit). Wow, that sounds hot. What about the plants and animals of the Shadowfell? Yep, there are. Just think, regular sort of plants, but dead or dying looking or predatory. Yep, so Michael, I've got a lot of videos which I need to remaster, and I'm getting around to doing them, but I like exploring new things as well. So when I say I'm going to do something, it'll be like tag a couple of months onto it. I'm like a publisher. If you send me an idea, then I'll get around to it eventually, but it's my channel and I do what I want. So when I feel enthusiastic and when I feel like I'm on top of a subject that I want to do, when I feel like I'm maximum enthusiasm for that subject, that's when I do a video on it. I'm not going to force doing a video on Avernus if I'm just like, oh yeah, Avernus, that's right, I said I was going to do it, cross it off the list and start jotting notes down. No, I want to be immersed and put across all the things that I find really compelling about Avernus when I make a video about it. Morphing Feywild plants. Yep, sentient Feywild plants. Amorsite video? Amorsite dragon? Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments there. Yeah, so my method is kind of haphazard. It's all over the place. Have you made D&D plants for your campaigns? Yeah, the Lurfen, for instance, that homebrew plant that I put in the video about is my example. Hey, Scorch! Nice, finally caught you. Got to be in the mood. That's right. Butter me up a little bit with some sweet D&D. I thought about sentient rice. Good grief! I just ate some rice for this morning. False heart fungus. Nice. Veggie pygmy, flora or fauna? It's definitely flora. Yep. Yeah, it may seem as flora, it may seem as fauna as anything else, but if a cat won't eat it, then it's flora. Yes, I have made homebrew races. The Manu, for instance, was a homebrew race of snail people. A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. Bonus to undead. Skullberry. I like it. Interesting. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you is remember how I was talking about print, cut and paste terrain. So I printed off a few sheets of the stuff. Here's an example. And just since I spoke to you last, I've been making terrain pieces. So this is what they look like. These modular little terrain bits, just out of folded cardboard. And here's a little corner section, and you stack them all up and make dungeons out of them. There's a section of stairs. There's a wall section. So you can really quickly make these things just when you're sitting there watching, like, you know, a Netflix show or something like that, or listening to some music, or listening to an audio book, and just start producing tons of these things. And before you know it, you've got a 6 foot by 4 foot map on your table made out of all this papercraft. So I've been very busy. Lots and lots and lots and last 2, swear. There you go. Well, that's a pile. And that's by Fat Dragon Games. Fat Dragon. If you go to their website, you'll be able to see their stuff. So many. Yeah, I know. It's just so easy to make. You just snip, snip, snip. Like, all I use, a pair of scissors. You cut out a section like this. You fold it on the little lines with like this little ruler thingy. Like I just use this little folding ruler thing. You just line it up and just go beep, like that. Watching TV and you're just folding stuff like this in your fingers. And then you use a glue stick. Like so, and you just go slap, lap, 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 lap. Highly technical term. Da 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 da. Then along these little, oh, I haven't folded these bits here yet. Crafting. Fold these little bits here. Oh, I haven't folded that bit either. Come on, AJ. Dun, dun, dun. By the way, if anybody's producing PDFs and stuff like that for the Drive-Thru RPG, and you want to send it to me to review and stuff, and promote if it's any good, I won't say anything about stuff that is bad. I basically will just remain silent on the issue. Don't be mistaken though, sometimes it just takes me ages to get to things. But yeah, if you're got stuff that you're working on or thinking about releasing and you want me to have a look at it, send it in for sure. I'm always happy to help out independent creators, because I am one. Okay, now just join that bit there to that bit there. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing very well. I'll hold it up by my face here. And then this folds like so. What am I doing? Oh, that bit goes in, right? Haha, I know what I'm doing, I swear. What am I doing? Oh, that bit goes out. Okay, there we go. And that bit goes out. There we go. It's not like I didn't do 5 of these already last night. There we go. Okay. I'll just keep that moist. Alright, and then you just fold the top bit down like so. Well, that's the bottom bit, either way. And that sort of holds the structure together with your glue stick. A little bit finicky with all these folded corners on this one. This is actually one of the more difficult ones. The curved corridors are really hard to do. But all things considered, a few minutes of holding onto a bit of paper is not that much to ask, really. Like I say, I use 200 GSM printer paper, and I've got a continuous refill ink reservoir printer that I use. It's an inkjet printer. This is actually taking a long time to do because for some reason it's harder to do things when people are watching you. IKEA dungeons, yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what it is. Do I think that real money can save you from the Oboxob the same way the Windukes of Aqua saved us from Miska, the wolf spider? No. Basically, the real money will just say, they will pull the lever and activate the escape clause and get every sentient being out of the D&D multiverse that they can. Okay, so there's the corner corridor thing, the corner wall section, and then just apply some glue stick to the bottom, and there's a little base plate thing which slots smoothly onto these base sheets for dungeon terrain that you can make as well. You just print out these sheets of floor essentially, and that way you can make the dungeon as big or as small as you want, and you can make it as modular as you want, and you can actually either keep these just freestanding and arrange them how you wish, or you can stick them down and make permanent dungeon things. Hey, welcome to Silver Dragon, Christopher. And voila, done. Another one for the pile. That easy. And that cost you what? How much did that cost? How much for a piece of paper and some ink and a glue stick? Not much. Compare that to Dwarven Forge, which is usually my go-to for the high end of stuff. Yeah, that's how you do it. I thought you'd like the word moist. Yeah, I should do it on an actual table and do some actual crafting videos and show you how I sculpt things and how I assemble dungeons and stuff. Oh, right. Yeah, well, you've got, I think one of the best glue sticks that I've found from like the American ones that I got hold of was the Elmer's glue stick, which is that sort of purpley one. Elmer's glue stick was really good. These are just knockoff Chinese ones that you get for like $1 for a pack of 10. That's what I mean about the benefits and disadvantages of living in New Zealand, because having a free trade agreement with China, anything that China can produce cheaply, they just mass export over here in containers. And we have these little pop-up $1 shops where you can get all of that sort of stuff, like packs of hot melt glue sticks, which, you know, for just like $1, which is way cheaper than the stuff over in the States. But things like building foam and foam core is actually really expensive over here. What's your favorite thing that I've made? I've actually got some images of some dungeons that I made. Like there was this lava thing that I made in this like undead area with like a Book of Vile Darkness, which was on a plinth with all this goo around it and stuff. I've made some pretty cool sets over the years. I didn't get a dragon banner when I joined the page. Still bummed about that. Oh, didn't you? I don't know why. It's not under my control. That just happens automatically. Halflings make the best mead. There you go. Hill dwarves make the best ales and beers. Mountain dwarves make the best spirits. Elves make the best wines. Halflings make the best mead. There you go. Easy. Make my own glue stick brand. Why don't I just get like the knockoff glue sticks and stick a label on them? No, I don't sell. I don't do like affiliate links and things like that, like a lot of other channels do. Mainly because I just don't want to be stuck promoting something that I don't believe in just because it's paying me some money, you know? And affiliate, like the Amazon affiliate system, is actually a pain in the ass, to be honest. No, I'm perfectly happy, like, if I come up with a design or somebody else comes up with a design, I'll put that on, like, a Teespring t-shirt product, and that's pretty much the most amount of sort of merchandising that I'm likely to ever do, aside from if I produce something for the DM's Guild or something like that. Yeah, But I'm just making videos is fine for me, honestly. Terry Pratchett is a literary genius. That is correct. Or was, I should say. Turns from purple to dry and clear. Yeah, that's the one. Am I excited for Hero Forge 2? It looks really promising. Also, World Spinner and has got a Kickstarter that they're producing a portrait making software as well, which I'm really excited about. Can we get your script on the Dragon Orbs? Michael, I already explained that on the Discord server, that was me reading from the book. So the script is the Book of Artifacts. I was reading directly from the Book of Artifacts. That's why I didn't produce a script, because that would be plagiarism. Borderline reading that out in the first place, but D&D gives us a pretty fair use policy. When will I drink my mead with you on stream? Tell you what, as long as you don't tell my dad or my uncle or my brother, I might drink one with you next weekend. Just on the down low. Don't let anybody know. Elmer's does work with craft. Yeah, a lot of companies do. Like I say, I'm more of a lore channel these days than a crafting channel. I like to craft, but it's not the focus of my channel. What was my least favourite video that I made and why? To be honest, it had to be the video that I did on Critical Role, the Molly Mork character, because pretty much it was almost written by somebody else, and I didn't really know what I was talking about, and then it was like that character got killed in the game anyway. It was just like, it was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. Never make videos about things that you're not personally invested in. Always just be yourself, is my advice, and I should have followed that advice. There was a lot of pressure for me to talk about Critical Role, but I just don't absorb the Critical Role content. Got a lot of respect for that as a franchise. Same thing with other people who do streaming games and things like that, but that's just not, I'm not a commercial streamer type person. No worries, Justin. They used to say the French made the best wine and the Americans took that away from them, so they used protectionism to keep our better wine out of Europe. Well, Sam Riser, I come from New Zealand and our wine absolutely smokes yours just by a country mile. Even though I don't actually drink wine, because I can't. Yeah, keep quiet on the mead thing. The main reason why I feel it's okay to have a sneaky mead is because I've got 30 kilos of honey now, and that is just tons and tons of honey. That's buckets, 5 kg buckets of honey, and so I'm already putting down more batches of mead as we speak. I've got one in the cupboard brewing away right now, and I've got another one which I'm going to be making as soon as the yeast arrives on the courier. And so, yeah. I feel it's okay because there's just like a couple of months in between that first batch and this next one. So I'll have plenty in November when family are coming to visit. You've been running PPE from coast to coast. Good on you. Good on you, man. What, Frank? It's just fermented honey. Some mead can do with a little bit of nutrients put in with the yeast, and that's just basically nitrogen based stuff to provide extra nutrients to the yeast. But that's just to sort of boost the yeast a little bit and keep it going longer. It doesn't really need it. The yeast just eats through the honey sugars and turns it into alcohol. It's magic. For those of you who haven't drunk mead before, it's mild. It's a little bit like vinegary, but nice. It's like a sort of a lemonade-y sort of thing. and it's quite drinkable. Like you'll have a sip and you'll be like, yeah, that's okay, and then you find yourself just reaching back and having another sip and another sip and another sip, and then pretty soon you've got this warm glow and everything is funny. And then you try and get up and you're like, whoa, it really hits you in the body. But it's a very happy, rosy sort of ho, rough and tumble sort of drink that it's ideal for parties and things like that, because everybody is laughing and telling jokes and stuff. And everything's hilarious. That's why it was served traditionally at weddings and stuff, because it gets everybody warm and happy. It's also very easy on your system the next day. You can have it with cinnamon and all sorts of stuff. Oh, the Malaysian Hornets, yeah. Ooh. So I've seen a lot of that about how they're showing up in Washington right now. They've actually been in Canada for a while. They started off on this island. Nobody really knows how they got there in the first place, but I suspect it would be like exotic pet importers and stuff who import noxious animals they really shouldn't be allowed to. Anyway, so these things are now going from Canada and into the States. They're going to the warmer climates, which is really bad news, and you should do your absolute best to exterminate them as soon as you find any of them anywhere, because they are a absolutely dynamite invasive species that is lethal. To give an example, there was one tour guide over in Japan who was leading two French tourists through the forest along a track, and they disturbed a bunch of these hornets who started to attack. And remember, these things are up to 4 inches long. They're the size of a small bird. Anyway, so they started to attack. The two French tourists ran away. The tour guide tripped over and was repeatedly stung. The thing is, the sting is so painful that it actually paralyzes you with pain, so you can't run away. Or you will try to, but you'll fall over and just shriek in pain on the ground. They continued stinging him. The French tourist went and summoned the emergency services, who arrived on the scene thinking that the hornets were already gone. They were not, so they got attacked as well, so they ran off. They came back wearing full fireman's gear just to get close to the body, and the body had been stung after its death for 3 days. They were still stinging it when the authorities showed up to collect the body. You don't mess with those things. They are very, very, very bad. That being said, though, in some parts of Malaysia and a certain province of Japan, I think it is, they actually villagers actually go up and grab these nests and eat the grubs from the inside of them, which is hardcore. I don't think we grow cranberry. We do grow mulberry in certain parts of New Zealand. I don't know about lingonberry. I've heard of lingonberry and cranberry, of course. Right. I might try that. One tablespoon of raisins. Yeah, see, the raisins, you'd only put that in there basically to provide extra nutrients to the yeast and stuff. You don't really need to put it in there. I don't feel the need to add extra flavouring and stuff to the mead, personally. Yeah. It is a D&D beast. The native bees of Japan have developed, or Malaysia, because it's spread out over various places in Asia. There's 4 varieties that are in Japan anyway. The giant is noticeably bigger than the other 3. So what the native bees do in those areas is they can't sting these hornets to death. The hornets are just too well armoured they can just shrug off any amount of bee stings and anything that the bees throw at them, because they're 5 times the size of the largest honeybee. Anyway, so what one of these things do is they'll show up at the hive, they find it, and they're going to go inside and they're going to spray pheromones around so that other hornets can smell where the hive is, and then they zoom in an attack force. Each hornet is capable of killing 80 bees per minute, and they will wipe out a hive of 1,000 honeybees in a few hours. They basically eat them. They chop their heads or rip their heads off and take their thorax away and mulch them up and feed them to their babies. The nests of the giant hornets are full of queens as well as attack workers, so they're a massively invasive species. And when they run out of honeybees in the area, then they attack each other and kill each other and eat each other's bodies. They're horrible. What these bees do when they have one of these things show up is they will basically invite it into the hive where it starts attacking a few bees. They start to twitch their body in a particular way to coordinate their attack, and then, like lightning, all of them at the same time swarm the wasp and start to vibrate their bodies and heat up, because the honeybees can tolerate a higher temperature than the giant hornets can, and they actually cook them to death on the inside. Brilliant. It's amazing. Wasps from the abyss. We do have native bees in New Zealand. They're very, very rare, though. There's more native bees, I think, in Australia than there are, but in New Zealand we just have honeybees. Well, Africanized honeybees just means that they're more aggressive when they're disturbed. That's about it. Otherwise, they're just ordinary honeybees. These things are way off the chart worse. Like, their sting is long enough to penetrate a beekeeper's outfit. So wearing a beekeeper's outfit that was normally fine for dealing with paper wasps will not work with these things. They will sting you straight through that. One of their stings will make your whole elbow swell up. Your forearm will swell up like a sausage. It will hurt for 6 hours. Like, when it first happens, it'll be like having a hot nail shoved into your body. And then for the next 6 hours or so, you're just going to be sitting there going, and then for another 8 hours or so, you're going to be like, oh my god, it's like one huge mosquito bite. That's from one sting. 10 of those stings will probably put you in hospital, or you should go to hospital for sure, even if you're not suffering from immediate anaphylactic shock. You should go to hospital just to be monitored and stuff. And also that venom is going to damage the wound as well. So you'll probably need it disinfected and dealt with. Mead is a sloppy drunk. Yeah, it can be. But nobody will care. Mead is like a dangerous day drink, because you're like, it's like midday. I'm going to have a glass of mead. And next thing you know, you've finished off a bottle and you're like, oh shit, I need a nap. So we can send PDFs of your homebrew that we're trying to put into the DMs Guild. Yeah, so if you've got something that you're putting into the DMs Guild is what I'm saying. So if it's ready to be put in the DMs Guild and you basically want to send it to me so I can review it and drive customers that way, that's what I'm saying. If you've got products that you're releasing to the DMs Guild and you want people to review it, I'm open. Oh yeah, the first brew that I made was pretty close to 18, I would say, 18 to 20%. It's pretty potent stuff. Yeah, the honeybees make a weaponized sauna. Yeah, exactly. It's like, no joke, man. Yeah, that's right. They definitely they're more aggressive in their breeding season as well. That's true. So yeah, there is a certain time of years. The giant hornets tend to go for the roots of pine trees, particularly in existing animal burrows. So they'll find an existing animal burrow from a snake or a groundhog or a whatever, squirrel, I don't know. Not squirrels. Squirrels don't burrow. Badger, I don't know, whatever. And they will go particularly around pine trees. So they dig down, and they're typically subterranean is where their nests are. So they're very hard to find. Yeah, I just discovered the other day that spiders drink water. I didn't know that. Have you missed anything? You've missed everything, Zales. Vandera? Welcome to New American, now doubling as New Chult. Yeah. Yeah, it's Mighty Mead for sure. Basically, because I double brewed it. So I put the like 2 kg of honey in with, it was 2 kg of honey for 10 litres of water, and the yeast. And then I let that brew until it basically slowed right down. And then I added some extra honey, topped it up, and let it brew a second brew. So it's that gave it a sort of a dryness to it. Was I a fan of the Pool of Radiance, Curse of Azor Bonds games back in the day? No, I didn't. I haven't played those ones. Yeah, that coyote guy. Yeah, he said it was right up there with the giant centipede sting or bite, I should say. Giant centipede bites. Ooh, I wouldn't want to get bit by one of those things. But he had the estimation that like 10 stings from those would kill an adult. From what I've seen, it's mostly, if you're going to get stung by those things, you're going to get stung 40 times by those damn things. They'll just keep stinging you over and over again. You want to get a spider drunk? I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you've got tarantulas, you have to keep a water dish in there because the tarantulas do regularly drink water, just like any other animal. They actually do have a mouth. It's not, they don't suck things through their fangs. They've got a mouth and they drink. So you have to keep changing their water dish. Oh, I still kill spiders. For sure. They've got it coming. Coyote Peterson, that's his name, yeah. Yeah, he said that bullet ants were no joke either. Bullet ant venom lasts for a long time. Like it hurts for a long time, he said. I got hit by a green ant in Australia. It stung me right in the ass. I sat down on an air mattress, stung me in the ass, and I was standing bolt upright. Milliseconds later, I was just like, no! Stood right, straight up. It was like, somebody got a hot needle and just went, Kss! I made a noise that I'm not proud of. Electric fly swatters and stuff, yeah. Fire is a good way to deal with wasps. Fire and smoke. You can get spiders drunk? There's bound to be wasps in the Forgotten Realms for sure. Like there's a lot of things that I didn't mention in that video on the Flora of the North is that you get ash trees and ash and birch and alder and various other types of regular trees in the Forgotten Realms. And also regular animals. Foxes, for instance, are in the Forgotten Realms. And they're spreading out from where they were introduced in Cormyr, I think. So that somebody brought them over from Earth. They went there originally. Yeah, exactly. Don't forget, there's worse things in the Forgotten Realms. So I imagine there's monsters that just eat, vicious big hornets and stuff, and everybody's like, oh yeah, they're fine. It's like there's giant toads in your backyard. It's like, yeah, they keep the giant wasps down. Just don't let your cat go out there. I always thought that collage of the spiders making webs under various drugs was actually bullshit. I never thought that was actually real. Is it? Need to confirm. There's a children's book about how spiders are harmless. This book was banned in Africa and Australia. Yeah, I would ban it too. Look, for millions of years, spiders ate our ancestors. There were great big giant ground spiders that ate our little squirrel ancestors with no mercy. The reason why you're scared of spiders is because they made us scared of them. It's their fault. They deserve to die. It's like you don't see pictures of people hugging spiders. Nobody's that comfortable with a spider. Hey, Stance. Thanks, Stance. Would I ever make a hypothetical phylogenetic tree for... yes, there actually is one that I can share with you for the dragons. Yeah, I can show you exactly where all the dragons come from. Or how they're interrelated with each other, per se. Some of them have a supernatural origin, don't forget, though. Because dragons come from various worlds. So you could actually have an influx of Kryn dragons, for instance, which would totally confuse anybody from the Forgotten Realms who are expecting to see it's like, oh, there's a blue dragon over there. It's like, nah, that blue dragon's actually a good guy. It's like, what? It's chromatic. It's like, no, it's from Kryn. Like astral dragons, for instance, or the battle dragons of the Outer Planes. They're not chromatic or metallic. They're a battle dragon. Inconsiderate mammals, yeah. I've got no problem with yeah. Some spiders, like I find jumping spiders to be cute. Cute little critters. Like I won't kill a jumping spider and things, but like jumping spiders, for instance, are the only species of spider which has made the transition to being vegetarian, because they eat the little waxy nodules that acacia bushes produce for ants that protect the tree. So they're still being basically thieves because they don't do anything to protect the acacia tree itself. But, they're trying. This is why drow is so popular. Yeah. Some spiders react to the smell of the chemical you let out when you're afraid. See? That's what I mean. Exactly. The spiders are just as afraid of you as you are of them. No, they're not. Yeah, scorpions are pretty freaky. I was watching an episode of Survivor, I think it was, and the guy was just like, oh, it's just a little scorpion. It's like, the little ones are the ones you're supposed to be scared of. The big scorpions are better than the small scorpions. That much I know. Huntsman spiders, yeah, I don't want a huntsman spider on my face, even if I know it's not going to attack me. The things kill like mice. Sydney funnel webs are horrific. First time I saw one of those, I was just like, that should not exist. It literally looks like pus in a bag on legs with hair. Looks like somebody got a little plastic bag of pus, rolled it in pubes, and put legs on it and teeth. It's evil. The most horrific creature. Welcome, Kyle. Nice to see you. Spiders don't know pity or fear or remorse. They will never stop. Yeah, they just want to inject you and suck out your insides. That's all. There's spiders that keep pet frogs. Interesting. Peacock spider is pretty cool. They're a variety of jumping spider too, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, don't forget in Faerun they've got steeders, which are giant spiders that you ride. So obviously, you don't know what a giant spider could be like. They might have personalities when they get that size, Yeah, it's a strange conversation, that's true. You don't need to... Sorry. Good with wolf spiders? Yeah. We have these things here called whitetails, which, like, if you say a Kiwi, I saw a whitetail, it's like, oh, did you kill it? It's like, yeah, I killed it. We don't have any poisonous spiders in New Zealand apart from introduced black widow redbacks from Australia. We've got our own version of that, which is a sleepy little spider called the katipo, which lives near like in Tussock and stuff in the beaches. But I don't think I've heard of anybody getting bitten by a katipo spider. And the other ones are introduced as well, including the whitetails, which is an Australian spider that's naturalized over here. And they're basically a non-web forming spider hunting spider. So they eat other spiders and they prowl around, and they're very evil looking, and they bite and leave a big itchy wound which people scratch when they're asleep, and it quite often gets infected. So people keep thinking that they're poisonous and they have like flesh dissolving bites. They don't actually. It's just like what people do is they like scratch their bum when they're asleep, and then they scratch the wound or scratch the bite site, and then it gets infected. Yeah, but you can't tell people that this spider's not poisonous. They look poisonous, and they're horrible, and they're aggressive, and I hate them. But other than that, that's really all we have to worry about. There may be ticks in New Zealand, but I've never heard of. We don't have any like Lyme disease or anything like that. Really, New Zealand is the safest place. The thing that kills most people out in the wilderness of New Zealand is falling off things and getting too cold. That's it. We don't have snakes. We don't have spiders. No snakes. Not a single snake in New Zealand. There's lizards, geckos, and skinks. That's about it. We also have the rare tuatara, which is a prehistoric creature, which is more like a dinosaur. We call it a living fossil. True. If your party isn't afraid of phase spiders, you've definitely used them wrong. There's a tarantula hawk in the United States which hunts tarantulas. It's a big yikes. No biting turtles. No turtles. No snakes. No, you can keep your snakes. Most Kiwis, when they go over to Australia, make a beeline for looking at snakes. We're not naturally scared of snakes. We should be. It's ironic, actually, that one of the safest countries in the world is right next door to one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Mind you, the Tasman Sea is a sea. It's quite a distance between here and Australia. It just looks pretty close on the map because Australia is absolutely enormous. New Zealand looks small by comparison to Australia, but if you actually align New Zealand up next to England, New Zealand is bigger. We're bigger than Italy. We're bigger than, I think, pretty much any country in Europe. Switzerland is like a region of New Zealand. It's tiny. Australia is just huge. Like you can plonk the states in Australia. Are there shark attacks in New Zealand? Yes, there are. Not that many. Typically when because the great whites and stuff like that go offshore of New Zealand, more to the sort of Arctic area for breeding and stuff, and they hunt seals and things like that, and they're smart enough not to eat humans typically. And the more aggressive sharks, which would normally eat people, are more tropical, so like tiger sharks and things like that, which we don't get over here. So Australia has got more aggressive sharks in general, but sharks typically don't bite people in New Zealand very much at all. There is one type of shark, which is the seven-gill shark down south in New Zealand, which do actually attack people fairly aggressively. But there's hardly anybody that has anything to deal with them apart from professional power fisher, power divers and stuff like that. Because, abalone divers. Nearly as big as the States minus Alaska. Yeah. It's similar. Punch a shark in the nose if it gets ornery. Or if you can turn a shark upside down, that's a good way of dealing with them. That's what orcas do. When killer whales deal with sharks, they just flip the shark over and the shark goes into a form of paralysis. And then the orca just kills it. No, there's just never been snakes in New Zealand as far as I know. Yeah, we don't have scorpions in New Zealand either. Yeah, you got to keep those wounds clean for sure. I don't know. We've got a nickname for New Zealand over here. We call it God Zone. So like if you hear a Kiwi saying he's going back to God Zone, he's talking about going back to New Zealand because it's just a blessed place. Like you put something in the ground, it grows. But the only thing we have difficulty growing here is like really tropical fruits like mangoes and things. And but somebody's even started growing a particularly hardy variety of coffee in New Zealand just recently, which I think is great because I don't like being reliant on import for coffee. I wish that we grew it here in New Zealand, and it turns out we can. No, Australia's got a different so they were bringing people. England was exporting white people everywhere at the time, and they were taking people and putting them in Australia and New Zealand. The whole convict thing of Australia is just like a small portion of the people that immigrated to Australia. It's not everybody. And they didn't do that in New Zealand, so we were never a prison colony. It was mainly whaling and seal hunting and kauri gum and gold is the reason why most people went to New Zealand in the first place. Don't forget that New Zealand had to be like it was untouched wilderness, so there was huge primeval forests full of like kauri trees, which are the equivalent of redwood trees, all over the place. So the farmlands and all that sort of stuff had to be cleared, had to be drained, had to be irrigated, had to be fertilized to put selenium and stuff in the soil so that the farm animals would survive. So we literally had to build New Zealand up from, if Antarctica suddenly lost all of its ice and was just, cleared back to soil, you would have this primeval landscape, which was, and if you filled that with nothing but untouched jungles of that's what New Zealand was like. So there wasn't a lot of food sources and stuff like that. And my ancestors were basically a combination of the English who were existing in New Zealand and the Norwegians who came over 150 years ago to clear the forest, clear a roadway and a railway along between two trade routes in the North Island. Anyway, don't know where I was going there with that. Yeah, God Zone country. So that's right. So New Zealand was governed by a branch of New South Wales, Australia, for a time, and then it basically became fully independent. But it's always been a crown Commonwealth country. So we're part of the greater Commonwealth of the United Kingdom, essentially. So is Australia. They haven't broken away from the crown yet. But it seems likely that we will form a Pacific bloc. So Argentina, Japan, Papua New Guinea, the Pacific Islands, Australia, and New Zealand will probably form a trade hub around the Pacific Ocean, which will be quite a potent trade hub, really. It'll give us a lot of clout. Hi, Isaac. Nice to see you. Yeah, so that side of my family is Bolstad from Norway. And they've got a very long family history going back like 4,000 years, I think. It's quite interesting being a Norwegian New Zealander because I'm like an ethnic group. Thanks, Kakastuk. Neverland. So that's about it from me today. I'm going to be releasing a podcasty style video whereas it's just like it's not a visual presentation. It's just me talking into the microphone with like a graphic on screen of a cassette tape thingy, where I'm talking about encounters, my thoughts on creating encounters and stuff. So just sort of a laid back week for me this week. I might come up with another video towards the end of the week. I don't know. I'm in kind of in hibernation mode at the moment, where I've just been sleeping a lot lately. Although you can't tell when I'm on live stream. Being honest, every person today has a family going back 10,000 years. Yeah, I'm talking about a traceable family lineage to a specific area in a specific village, that has 4,000 years of history in one particular area. Because they didn't go out a Viking, they didn't go out raiding and stuff. They were like way inland, up a fjord with plenty of salmon. So they didn't really need to go anywhere. Ooh, that's a good question, Ag Silver. I was just been reading about the Zentarum today, and also on Hallowed Ground, which is a really good book, which I'm going to be reading you some excerpts from in upcoming videos. Really keen on this idea of reading books to you, because why not? And also reading stuff from Ed Greenwood's Elminster's Forgotten Realms guidebook is really good too, because it gives you a really good idea of what the Zentarum are and what they actually do. Because you hear about the Zentarum all the time, but it's like, who are the Zentarum? Why do the Zentarum exist? What are they exactly? It's like they're a city-state. It's like the city-state. Anyway, so yeah, that stuff's coming up. Well, I mean, the UK is dismantling itself. It's got nothing to do with us. Only get married at the Shire in New Zealand, yeah. Well, I live in the real Shire, the Bay of Plenty. Not the film set Shire over in Matamata. If you want to come to the real Shire, come to the Bay of Plenty. Go to one of our market garden days. You'll see wonders. Anyway, everybody, time to go. Have a good day. Stay safe. Stay hopeful. 2020's just a swing and a roundabout. It's just a dip in the roller coaster of life. We'll get through this. And I'll catch you in the next video.